Hey, gamer grade internet. Yeah. uh, had I been playing a first person shooter, I'd be dead. Wow, wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I do feel bad. Like the amount of usage on the residential networks has gone crazy with everyone being home, but still, I don't know. Okay. All right. Hopefully, I didn't lose you too much. So, right, one product can have many orders. Oh, a dad joke. You got it, 404. Um, I have several. Just found a good one here. Let's see. Not that one. Ah, so we just had Groundhog's Day recently, and I've never really understood. Oh, a hat. Yes, I will get right a hat. Got my chest bra hat. Represent the Twitch streamers, right? Thanks, Uthroth. So this Groundhog's Day, I've never really understood it and why we see if a groundhog goes back into his hole or not, and it's whatever. But apparently, they also do this in France. It's not just a weird American thing. So in France, they do the same thing. They have the groundhog come out, but it works a little bit differently apparently, because what they find out is whether or not the groundhog sees his home or not is going to determine whether or not there's more winter. Because when the groundhog comes out of his hole, sometimes he sees his chateau. Stretch. All right, thank you. Yeah, this sitting for hours and hours and hours a day will really get you. Should really get a better chair one of these days. Okay, that was good. Then we'll pass the time while the internet stabilizes here. Okay, sorry, making sure my sugar is having all sorts of trouble today. Not been good. Picked up I was at Target last night picking up some things, and they had these little light up bouncy balls on sale. My little guy really likes them. My wife sent me that picture. So, oh yeah, I'm texting in class. I'm sorry. You see him? That's my little list. You gotta share the baby pictures, right? I mean, he's not baby now, but okay. All right. So I think we're back and stable. So now we're gonna look at, well, if one product can be in many orders and one order can be for many products, that's a many-to-many, and we should be thinking, no good. So we need a joining table. So a lot of times you'll call it like order item. Again, the names aren't all that particular, but order item has a product ID that references product. So one order item will reference one product, but one product can be ordered many times. Right, so what we do with the joining table, we take the many-to-manys and we turn it into two one-to-manys. Right? Instead of many-to-many here, you get two different one-to-manys. So same with order. One order can have many items, but one order item is for one order. One to many. One to many. So we'll have a product ID, we'll have an order ID, right, that relates here. Then we can have other things like the quantity. Right? How many of that item did we want to buy? Sure. I'm not sure we need any other information there. So this way, now I can put an order in for a particular customer, and I'll have all the products listed in the order items. One to many. One to nary. Oh, you're just making fun of my handwriting here? I gotcha. One to many. Yeah, the problem is with Charnesky, it's spelled Charnesky. And if you have bad handwriting, sometimes if your R's and N's are next to each other, people think you are Chemesky. It's a problem with terrible handwriting. There's better tools for this sort of thing too. There's like all sorts of design tools you can use and whatnot, but I'm just going to just sketch it all out for now. Okay, because that ought to do it. All right, so again, we set the stage. Cursive. Oh, you don't want to see my cursive. That's even worse. It's even worse. So apparently, my mother blames this on the public school in New York, where I started to learn my handwriting. Because in New York, we learned to write with ball and stick. So everything is just a circle or a line, right? A, B, C, D, right? Balls and sticks. In Michigan, when we moved back, and when my brother and sister learned to write, they learned to write with Danielian, which is like precursive and like fancy looking writing. And I can't even do it. It's like A with like these little tails, and then B is something else, and like C, I don't know, like, I don't even remember how they did all these things. E, I forget. I don't know, but it was like, it was much better, like precursive writing, and I never learned it. I came back and jumped right into second grade, actually. And we started like precursive stuff and started getting into cursive. So my handwriting has always been terrible. And then after I got a little older, I was like, oh, I'm just going to type everything anyway. I don't need good handwriting. Because why not? We can just type everything. It's almost worked out for me, right? Almost worked out. I'll erase all that. Good. All right, so we can store that order information here in the table. So maybe this week's quantity, like quantity on hand or in stock, that sort of thing. Now, there's still a slight problem here, and that this, again, is sort of a difficult problem to solve, so don't worry too much about it here. But, excuse me, when we have price on our product listed here, and that's the only place we have it, what happens if we have to change our price for a product? Say, oh, okay, a couple months later, it costs another 50 cents for this product. If we change it here, and that's the only place we ever have it, it's now changed it in everyone's receipts. This is essentially your receipt, right? Your order item, you just list all those out, and that's your receipt. So that's a problem, right? While it's good design, it reduces the redundancy. That data should be changeable. So we probably want to add price in here as well. So it's going to feel redundant, but don't feel bad about it, because the idea is this order item price should not change. And then the other thing we can do is, if we have an order item price in here, we can also give discounts. Right? Customer used a coupon, or they bought enough things, we give them 10% off, or they're our family, so we slipped them half for free. Well, sure, whatever that happened to be. Right? So by putting the price in the order information, the order item, now we have separated it, so if we change it in product, it's not going to change it in my existing orders. Because that'll upset your customers. If they order something, you say, sure, here it is, it costs you 15 bucks. They show up an hour later, and now you charge them 16. They'll be a little bit upset with you. Right? So we okay with that so far? Should we do one more example? One more. I can't talk. Should we do another one, or should we move on? What do you guys think? Okay, another example. Yeah, let's do it. So we got foreign keys, we got tables. Yep. Types. Okay, so another thing maybe we should specify here is common types in MySQL. So ints, right? Integers is one type. So like these IDs, quantities are probably integers as well. Like that can be an int. You have decimals for storing doubles, numbers with decimal places. You have characters, and then you have varchars, chars and varchars. So char is for character, and that's a fixed size. And then you have varchar, which is variable sized. So I'm a big fan of varchar, and databases are pretty good nowadays that those are pretty efficient. So you can still put a cap and like a max size on these things. They can't hold everything. If you try and store the entire book of Moby Dick in a varchar, it probably won't go very well for you, right? But again, you can store lots of things in it, and it doesn't have to be a fixed size. Chars for fixed size used to be very popular because it is more efficient, sure, if all of your things are the same size. if you're saying, hey, it can be up to 30 characters for a last name, and most last names are less than 10, then we're wasting a lot of space, where a varchar could be more efficient at that point. But like something like a, I don't know, like a product ID. If we know our product IDs always have 2 letters and then 7 numbers and then another letter for whatever our convention is. If we know it's always 10 characters, great. The fixed size character is fantastic. It'll be better than the varchar for us if we know everything will follow that rule. If we're not sure, just use varchar. So essentially, I will always use varchar. Just all the time, just because it makes life easy. Again, we're not really considering efficiency at this point. That's not something we need to concern ourselves with. Take a more advanced database design class and you can look at efficiency sort of things and designing for whatnot. So for now, we're going to go with easy, which is my typical rule of thumb is going to go with easy. So we're going to use ints, we're going to use decimals, we're going to use varchars. And then if you need to store dates, times, or date and times, you have date, time, and date time. Dates and time are really, really hard, by the way. Especially if you live in more than, or if you have people who use your application in more than one time zone. So for now, we're just going to wave our hands and say, sure, everything is Eastern time zone, because that's where we live and life is easy. That's not as easy in the real world. And there are other problems we have to deal with and all sorts of good stuff there. So again, we'll get to that not in this class. Okay, we're just going to pretend life is easy in this class. Deoxyribonucleic acid? Does that make it easier to talk? Deoxyribonucleic acid. Did I do it, Snake? Are you impressed? Excuse me. Okay, so let's do another example then. Oh, sorry, I'll zoom back in. I don't need to zoom too far out. Let's just scroll down. Nope. Wow, I didn't know I could grab them. That's cool. I can grab my pictures. That's handy. I'm just learning to use this whiteboard tool. Oh, I'm running out of space here, I guess. Okay, we'll come over here. More white space. I don't know how this works. This is neat. Ruler. Look at that. I can add text and stuff. I'm so excited. How cool is that? Okay, anyway. So if we were to design another item here. So maybe we wanted to be able to store, let's see, what's a good one? Let's talk about stocks. Everyone likes stocks today, right? Or this week, stocks are popular. So maybe we'll have a table for stock. Okay, again, I'm just going to have an ID field for my primary key. That's my primary key. This will uniquely identify the stock. You're allowed to have other unique keys, and your database will ensure those are unique, which is nice and handy to make sure you're not doing something dumb. But again, that's probably more advanced database stuff we don't really care about at this point. Okay. So and with these ID fields, you can do this auto increment, which you just tell the database, hey, give me the next number, and it will track it for you. It's fantastic. We love those because they make life easy for us. So we'll most of the time use auto increment IDs as primary keys. Excuse me, that way we don't have to worry about figuring it out. Again, nothing wrong with using the composite key or a different value as a primary key, but I just like IDs, and then it keeps it nice and consistent. And the other good thing with IDs, I should mention too, is integers are easier to store as foreign keys. If we had, where was that? Oops, no, not that one. Where'd it go? Right here. So with our course, if we ended up using number and department up here as a foreign key or primary key, department is characters. And that is going to take up more space to store characters than it is going to be to store an integer value every time I reference it. So it makes every time you reference it bigger. That's another downside of using those composite keys as well. Okay, back to where we were. All right, our stock here then. Zoom back into 100%. We got an ID, we have a symbol, and we have like a current price perhaps, current price. Okay, so you'd have stock, right? And then that's just the listing of it, and then people will own stock. People will have a portfolio, right? And in their portfolio, they will have many stocks. Many stocks can be in many portfolios. Many people can own it. Uh-oh, we've got a problem now, right? That's a many to many. So you should be thinking, oops, I need a joining table. So let's not do that. Excuse me. So portfolio then would have the owner, or sorry, it would have its own ID, right? ID, would have an owner ID, right? And I don't know what other information we need. And then what we would have is a stock that we own. So one stock can be owned many times. One portfolio can have many stocks. This is, I don't know. Owned stock, I'm sure. Owned stock. So it would have its own ID. ID. I'll put it in there. Sorry. ID. It would have a, I need bigger columns here. Nope, not the scroll. This way. So it would have a stock ID. It would have the portfolio ID. And it would have the purchased price, right? Purchase price. So when you buy it, excuse me, you're buying it for a given price. Okay? Order stock table. Yeah, order stock, sure. Excuse me. Man, I got that stuck in my throat here. Okay, so in here then we could put information. So if we wanted to see, hey, how much is GameStop stock worth today? Let's see. It was tanking earlier. Turns out the price goes up when there's more demand. The fundamentals of economics still sort of work. And if there's less demand for it, the price goes down. Typically how things work, although consult your local econ prof. Oh, come on. Load for me. Maybe. I just want a stock price. It's not worth it, is it? There it goes. Robinhood, what did they say? Added like some million users or something in the last week or two. It's pretty crazy. And down to $60 a share currently. So if we bought it, right? Let's go back to our drawing here. So if we were to say, okay, sure, I'm an owner. I've got some information over here for my portfolio, yada, yada, yada. This might have like a type. I don't know. Sure. I might say, hey, if we purchase it at $200 a share, right, in my portfolio, one stock ID, one GME, its current price is $68 a share. But if I bought it at $200 a share, and probably a quantity in here, right? Quantity. And if you bought 10 of them at $200 a share, right? This is sure ID 1. We can find the difference now. Its current value, right, is purchase times quantity minus. Right, because what we really care about is the purchase price. That's what we paid for, to be able to track, are we up or down?